Chief of Staff, Deputy Chief of Staff, Commander, Volunteer Force, Principal Staff Officers, the Commandant of the Army War College, General Jayasekara, the past Commandant, Chief Instructor, members of the directing staff, senior officers, student officers from friendly foreign nations, student officers of the Senior Command Course number 3 and Junior Command Course number 2, officers, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. It is my great honor and pleasure to address the instructors and especially the admin officers and the student officers of the Army War College together in this memorable and a pleasant morning here at Buttala. Also, I consider this moment presents an ideal opportunity to address a set of promising junior and middle grade officers so that I can convey the future prospects of Sri Lanka Army and what is expected from you by the Sri Lanka Army and our great nation Sri Lanka at large. Ladies and gentlemen, the year 2021 has been an important watershed in the evolution and the growth of the War College, since it marks the elevation of War College from Officer Career Development Center. This elevation is not merely a change of OCDC's designation, but this elevation is an elevation of expectations of the role played by the Army in today's security context. Indeed, it implies that the college is now ready to produce future military leaders with necessary knowledge, capacity, and especially competencies to shoulder a broader spectrum of responsibilities as demanded by the Army, by the country, and by the world at large. As you all may know, this elevation has been supplemented with necessary infrastructure, training facilities, course curriculums, as well as hand-picked set of well-qualified instructors with a view of giving the best to the learning officers at this War College. Also, I remind that I will never hesitate to invest on military training, and apparently I expect that the training will foster high standards in the Army which should upheld throughout. Therefore, I insist that the military education today is an indispensable aspect of an officer career. The future learning at OCDC will be aligned to bridge the knowledge gap as anticipated by Sri Lanka Army's Way Forward Strategy 2020-2025 to meet His Excellency the President and the government's vistas of prosperity agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a common wisdom today that the secure environment is rapidly changing as never before. I hope I should not harp much on the security environment, since you are well conversant with what is happening today as student officers. But let me remind you that the multifaceted change in the context demands the Army to have competencies and intervening in much broader spectrum of conflicts than before, from classical military posture to the posture in the wake of pandemics. We never know whether it would be furthermore in time to come. So far Sri Lanka Army has demonstrated the resilience and the capacity to adjust the evolving situation and new demands while remaining relevant to any situation in this country. Thus, His Excellency the President and the government of Sri Lanka have kept complete confidence on Sri Lanka Army as the most credible responder in any sort of eventuality. Also, the people of this country have the utmost faith on Sri Lanka Army and expect the Army will continue to be the defender of the country and its people in this dynamic security environment. Consequently, we must be conceptually, physically, and morally prepare ourselves to match the future demands and be relevant in time to come. Therefore, I feel it very much pertinent to speak few words on military education this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, officers and the leaders, decision makes, especially the officers and the leaders, decision makers and managers, they are the decision makers and the managers of the Army. I hope you understand it. The role comes with very real mental and physical challenge, with officers being expected to lead from the front in all situations which are usually considered tiring and strange. Nowadays, with the frequently changing in demand, the versatility and professionalism are the driving principles of an officer. Also, lack of knowledge and competencies are the evils which have no more precedence in the officer corps as of today. Therefore, the purpose of officer training is to develop the character and leadership of officers and instilling the necessary knowledge, especially confidence, sense of duty and responsibility at frequent intervals and levels, so that officers can bear the responsibilities at all levels. I urge the instructors and the directing staff to train the student officers to acquire relevant and updated and necessary knowledge at different levels. If you wonder why all these training are characterized by the exerting heavy pressure on students, it is because the tendency of making a wrong decision is more than when a leader is under pressure, and thus through training, officers must be molded to withstand the pressure under any tiring situations or any conditions. Similarly, your resilience, perseverance, and focus during training will come in handy one day in the field and will enable you to serve diligently with integrity and specially for your self-satisfaction. Student officers of Junior Command Corps. The officers of middle grade are compelling to have competencies of the command functions, staff functions, and operational staff planning processes, since the middle grade officers functions as company commanders, grade 2 level staff officers, or instructors. In today's piece of operational and non-operational commitment, any tactical delay or mishap can be extremely costly at strategic level. Therefore, training the doers with the basic of command, operational, and staff aspects is a must to function effectively in today's environment. Further, in the future, more middle grade officers are likely to find themselves responsible for tactical planning and execution of tasks possibly different from operational tasks. It is high time for the middle grade officers of the Sri Lanka Army to enter into the tactical and operational realm by educating and training them to understand, transform, plan, and execute multi-array of operational and non-operational commitments in a wider security context. Therefore, Junior Command Corps has been designed to learn, interpret, apply, test, and question the military concepts, doctrines, tactics, techniques, and procedures used in the Sri Lanka Army, and providing conducive platform for innovative and creative problem solving. I assure you, the hardship you undergo today will be an investment for you to perform the command, staff, and instructor duties with confidence and professional competence. Student officers of the Senior Command Corps, I consider the battalions as the most important constitute of the Army. It's a very important organization, and I always believe the best tenure would be to command a battalion. Since the battalions determine organizational successes, Army must ensure that the battalion commanders are our best possible officers. This is the purpose of having a specially designated type of a training at the War College for these officers. Therefore, I want my future battalion commanders to be knowledgeable, competent, and reliable officers who can interpret bigger security picture and transform into a workable plan, understanding the role to be played by the battalion in that context. Also, I need the future battalion commanders to be confident enough to take initiatives within the frame and enhancing the knowledge on command, staff, and administrative functions, and procedures is indispensable. I know most of the student officers of the senior command course have served terms in the front line, especially during the LTT conflict, and have completed 11 years after the war in various appointments. Perhaps there can be officers who have missed the higher military education due to various operational commitments that they were involved. Therefore, the senior command course serves three purposes. First, it will allow an opportunity for officers who are the most deserving of command but could not make it due to various commitments and prerequisites placed into command. Second, it will identify the potential as well as the toxic leaders so that officers who deserve to command and with strategic potential can be screened from those who are not. Third, it will change the culture of the Army Corps to one that deeply values the abilities most needed by tomorrow's strategic leaders, such as critical and innovative thinking, effective oral and written communication, strategic temperament, and authentic respect for subordinates and peers. It is really important today, the last few words that I just mentioned. Therefore, I believe you will get the maximum from the course and prove yourself that you are competent to be a future leader. You are competent to be a battalion commander of this great army. Instructors and directing staff, you have been handpicked considering your track record, and I commend your relentless effort to foster the learning and uplifting the standard of the Army. Let me remind, at the end of the day, you will be judged by the student officers not for your past records, but on how much you give them for their development, as well as your ability to inspire them for learning. Therefore, I suggest that you keep abreast with the modern development of security environment, encourage the student officers for an updated learning, and establish the right balance between theory and application. More keenly, I shall suggest that you to help the student officers to unlock emotions, attitudes, and responses to intellectual challenges and stimulate self-learning habits and develop confidence in exchanging ideas and participating in forums during the course. I thank you for the hard work and commitment, and I expect you will continue to keep the same spirit or better spirit in time to come while you are teaching as instructors at this great institution, the War College. Ladies and gentlemen, the officer education and training in the Army have been devoted to foster higher caliber officers as demanded by today's security context, as just mentioned by the Commandant General Bothota. For that, the country bears huge amount of public money. Also, you have been spared and made free for the endless duties and commitments assigned to the Army to ensure mind-free education. Therefore, your outcome should justify the every cent spent on you by the government of Sri Lanka. Thus, I emphasize that you must reciprocate the expenditure made on you by making use of resources, facilities, instructors, and the time allocated to you for improving yourself and nothing but improving yourself. Finally, let me convey my profound gratitude to the Commandant, the Chief Instructor, members of the directing staff and the administrative staff, and all those who are behind the scene for the untiring effort to maintain the ideal learning environment for grooming professionals, Army officers at Army War College. I wish you the health, wealth, happiness in all your future endeavors. I thank all the DAs of the friendly foreign nations for all the way for coming this morning to be with us, to have with us on this special day at Army War College. Thank you to all.